welcome to Ungimmicked. You see, I don't know when the next time I'm going to say this is going to be, so it's.
We have to cherish this.
We have to cherish this moment. This is episode 20 of our first season of the Ungimmicked Podcast. We are capping it at 20 for now. Let me start this episode by saying this is not the end of the Ungimmicked Podcast, much less the end of Ungimmicked and what it stands for. But we do have to everything comes to an end eventually, so season 1 ends, but we have everybody here for this last episode. We are joined by Alex Moreau, Connor McDonald, Matthew O'Neill, Sanjeev Vinod. My name is Gonçalo Souza. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you. And today we are just going to be talking about our podcast. How and Ungimmicked in general, how this came to be, how we got together to do this, what our thought process was behind all this, and how we've evolved and progressed over the past, what is it now, 3 months, 4 months?
It's April.
Wow, man.
It was April. April was 5 months ago. It's
Yeah, bro.
April, May.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, 4 weeks times 5 months, more or less.
It's a long time.
Gentlemen, this episode is going to be a bit more of a fluid one. We don't necessarily have a topic to cover. We just wanted to even open the curtain, let you take a peek backstage to the work that we've been doing over the past couple months to bring you the content. So actually, we are going to start with a segment.
Oh, so we do have a topic.
Wait. No, we're starting with a segment because if you are a recent listener to Ungimmicked, you know that we jump straight into topics. When we started, we used to have a segment right in the beginning. We are shuffling them around, but today we are starting with our ambitious card segment because it's right on top.
Throwback. Nice.
A little throwback. I don't. Who's talking about this? I am sorry. I don't have my notes open.
This is me.
It's
yeah,
Alex.
we had
Alex
to do a
Moreau.
little bit of a throwback there. So Ambitious Card was a way for us to talk about what was happening in Magic at the time people listening to the episode, so people could keep up to date to what was happening. So today I went looking. In fact, on the very day we're recording this, I got the news. I think it arrived yesterday. That Vanishing Inc. were keeping both of their conventions, the Session and Magi Fest, alive. Even though we're in the middle of a sanitary crisis. Of course, there's going to be a lot of different things. They've moved them back. I believe the Session will be somewhere in June or July. I don't know about Magi Fest. I've quickly skimmed through the article. But I believe there will be attendance. Well, for now, of course, everything's uncertain, but very reduced and everything. And there is also a lot of places where you can do them online. So, Vanishing Inc. stepped up for Share Magic Live. Vanishing are stepping up for lots of things, and Vanishing Inc. are really trying to find ways to keep bringing us some great magic and some great entertainment for us magicians through that. So I just want to shout them out for like the nth time. I don't even know how many times we've talked about them. Absolutely love what Vanishing Inc. are doing, and the fact that rather than canceling, they're still trying to bring something like as much as they can is admirable. And yeah, big shout out to Vanishing Inc. I think they're insane.
Totally.
On Vanishing Inc., you know, it's from the moment we started, or from the moment when we started thinking of Ungimmicked as more than a podcast, I always put us side by side with Vanishing Inc.'s mission statement.
Yeah.
Not as a store. Our goal is not to sell magic, but the way they bring together a community of magicians and magic lovers was always our goal as well, and always what we strived for. As we've been working very hard to create that on our social media, on this podcast, the projects that will come in the future. So Vanishing Inc., so much love for Andy Gladwin and Joshua J. They're the two heads of the company
And the whole crew.
The whole crew, absolutely, and we're friends. Can we shout him out? I'm gonna get
Ellis.
Ellis James gets a shout out. Also, Matthew O'Neill, you are having big microphone problems.
Yeah, something's really
Background
loud.
noise, right? Is it background noise?
I don't think you're
You're
right.
loud.
Is it things-
You're so loud.
No, it just sounds
You're
like the first
loud.
episode. It sounds like the first episode. Which is a
I don't
perfect segue.
What's going on? I want to know what's going on.
You're
Matt,
still
I think
loud. You're really
microphone
loud.
Your microphone is probably not plugged in. That's what it seems to me.
It's definitely plugged in. How's that?
No.
Lower
Check
sensitivity.
No, go
check
into
your
settings.
sensitivity on Zoom. Check your sensitivity on Zoom, please.
All right.
Yeah, Matt, our reactions were very aggressive. It's just because it hit our ears really hard. And I
That was
like,
random. I don't know why it changed.
That's
There we
better.
go. Yeah,
There you go.
Zoom
It's fine.
sometimes does that. I
I didn't do anything. I didn't change anything.
You know what, Matthew? I know that you didn't do anything. That has happened to me, and that's just one of the few problems that we have to deal here at Ungimmicked when we record.
Is that a lame excuse to not cut it out?
It is a lame
Maybe.
excuse to not have to
Maybe.
cut
It's
this
a
out.
perfect segue.
See, but I actually no. Let me talk then a little bit about the way we recorded this. If you go listen to episode 1 and 2, and contrast it with 3 and all the ones that followed, you see that the audio is different. That's because we changed the method that we recorded. So possibly when I'm editing this, you won't hear Matthew's audio blow up. I might artificially put it in because I will still have the poor audio quality because we meet on Zoom to record this. And for episodes 1 and 2, we used the audio that Zoom gave us with the video feed. But since it's Zoom, it lowers the audio quality. It has to go through the internet, and sometimes there even if you listen to episode 1, there are 1 or 2 moments where there's a little cut and a little bit of lag. We changed that because we started everybody doing a local recording. So in 5 different computers, because we are in 5 different points of the United States, we all record our own audios, and then they're all put together along with the video from Zoom. So.
Yes, and a few things on that. First of all, I finally got a peek at Gonzalo's calendar. Ooh, spicy. This boy sets aside an hour every morning to edit. An hour mind you, full disclosure, this hour is before I'm even awake. Okay, I'm still like dreaming about pancakes, doing my thing. Gonzalo's
Sanjeev, most hours are before you're awake.
Dude, I will confess. Okay, that's fair. Dude,
Like
do you
Gonzalo's
remember
editing, I'm
scheduling-
not even asleep, man. This guy is hustling.
Yeah.
It's true.
Dude, and like the editing is not an easy job either, right? Gonzalo's putting in this much work, and then there's us, right? Like 5 minutes before the episode, like, what's the topic, guys? Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I'll do this segment. You do. Oh, we're good, guys. Yeah,
And we have, let's point out, he had no prior knowledge of editing.
He taught himself.
No,
to
not
edit.
at all.
No,
We
yeah,
learned it all.
I am
at this point.
self-taught.
Hey, maybe we should put a little bit of substance here. Maybe we should talk about how this all started.
Yeah, let's
Wow,
let's.
a lot's changed.
On that one fateful day, over Zoom
Now,
jam.
let me put it like essentially, we were friends and friends of friends. Like I did not know Connor and Sanjeev before what happened, and I was good friends with Matthew and Gonzalo after meeting them at the castle. And eventually, we were just like, oh, we're bored in quarantine. Let's just do a big magic jam. Because Gonzalo and Matthew were like, every day we just FaceTime to talk about random ideas in magic what we're working on. Like, hey, let's do an actual jam with lots of people. I'll bring in some friends. And it went really well. Like, really, really well.
Yeah.
And we figured we'd do it again
That
and
was
again
fun.
and again.
We end up
So
doing
it
it
was-
every day.
Yeah,
And
much.
exactly, it was just
Yeah.
every day. And we were starting to talk less and less about the tricks we were working on. Tricks? Please refer to the previous episode. And we started talking more and more about theory and philosophy because that's what we really liked, or that's what we were about to like for some of us, right?
Yeah, well, we discovered that we like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we also discovered it was
eventually-
important.
And it was more important than we thought. And I was always super hard into philosophy and magic, but maybe I didn't realize how much I was into it. Let me put it that way. And it was super spontaneous going, you know what? We're all learning so much. Let's just record it and put it out there and make it a podcast. If one person listens, it's like we have one extra person in our jams. And if one person listens to it, it was worth it. And even if nobody does, if nobody's listening to what I'm saying, it's still worth it because we get a chance to put everything we have and to really challenge our understandings.
And we have a record of our jams now, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Now we
that's
have
true.
20 hours practically worth of
That's
what
true.
we do.
And you know what happened? And like what I was saying on episode 19, in this crew, it's no bullshit. We say we do something. Either we don't agree or we agree. But if we agree, we do it. The very following day, our first recording session happened.
Yeah.
that's true.
That's the story.
Well, let's go into a little bit more detail on the beginning of the recording session, and really quickly, because I know there's a queue. I'm getting messages in the chat because we have a queue. All right, I'm sorry. So
As
sorry
I
guys,
patiently wait
I'm
for my
cutting.
turn.
I'm cutting.
Cutting the line.
But we had this idea. I don't remember who brought it up, but like we'll do a podcast, and we researched like, can we start a podcast? Yeah, we can start a podcast. Let's record it, and we got together, and internet was bad, audio was bad, but it was fun. Like, it was a lot of fun. We figured out an idea. We came up with we had the idea. We were supposed to all get off. We stayed on the jam for like an extra 4 hours figuring out the name of the podcast and figuring out like what we would do. Assembly, breather crimp, ambitious card. All these
God,
details.
ambitious card was such an horrible idea.
That was so cool.
See, but I'm so glad that the thing is we do those things and we try them, and then when it didn't work, we fixed it or we changed something and we made it work.
But if you listen, this is a very good thing. The fact we're laughing about it, because we learned by making that quote unquote mistake or that thing we didn't like. Something we talk about often. Go for it. Worst case scenario, it fails. Whatever.
And I think it takes a really understanding group, because we are all very honest with each other, right? I remember there have been times where I'm like, that's not good. I don't like this. Where other people are like, I'm just not available then. This idea doesn't work. And I think we're very open with disagreement, which is probably what's motivated a lot of the changes. I know G's mentioned editing, and now what? You're using a new software and stuff too, right?
I am, yes. I changed softwares. That actually, Alex recommended the new software. I use Lightworks now, and it's made my life like 2,000 times easier.
Were you in Audacity before?
I was on... No, because I always edit with the video as well. So I actually was on a very ancient Camtasia Studio 8, which was released in like 2010 or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Again, I had no clue how to edit.
Wow. Boys, let me just put this out there. 2010 was a decade ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And plus, I mean, all of you guys are post 2000s, right?
2000?
2001.
Yeah, I'm 2001.
Well, I'm the only one that knew the 20th century here.
Okay.
Damn.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. No.
Alright.
Pet peeve of mine. I need to make this.
Wait.
The year 2000 is
the
part of the
20th.
20th century. Yes, it is.
Got
Sir,
him.
you are a mathematician who forgot to account for the fact that there is no year zero in our
You
calendar.
are a 2000. There was literally, we say, I know in English, in France, we say les 2000, meaning the people born in 2000, we literally say, refer to them by the year of their birth because they're not 1900s.
Alex, you
true,
say it. This
but it
what
is
the
part of
French
the
say.
20th century.
But is the title there? No.
No, Alex straight up.
You can't
brings up
argue
the fact
against
that.
that,
The French
dude.
say it. Bro, that doesn't add any credibility to this.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Oh, the
What?
French
is there
say,
a 1
oh,
and 9
now
at
I
the beginning
believe
of
it.
those dates?
What?
Alex Moreau,
No.
the year 2000 is part of the 20th century.
It's not a 1900s. and
Important
that you
magic
Yeah.
debates, ladies and
But it's
gentlemen.
part
The
of
year,
century.
the year 1900 is not part of the 20th century. The year 1900 is part of the 19th century.
You're not part of the 1900s, and that
I
you
am
can't
not.
disagree with.
I am not. I cannot
Okay,
disagree
well,
with that.
I am now the only one. With
No.
the 1900s.
Okay. I'm just correcting, and then because it's a pet peeve of mine. The year 2000 is the 20th century.
Let me just put it there. I wasn't sure if you were 2000, but now I know you are. Way too passionate about this.
Yeah, issue solved, right?
No, let's be very clear. Gonzalo edits this. He
I do.
decides what counter arguments make it.
So if you're listening to this,
That's a
maybe
good point.
what you hear is not what we say.
Alex,
Maybe we're like,
Alex,
we
you
made
never
some
know.
good counterpoints. You guys are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
You know how sometimes you're like tricks are stronger when you're one off. Well, 2001. Boom. There you go. That's all I need. And it
Matthew,
falls
you're
flat
as
as
cheap
usual.
as
Alright, that-
usual.
I
Let's
don't-
just put it that way.
You know what? That's what Gonzalo's
see-
editing out. I'm gonna ask
You
him
see,
to do that.
Matthew, you see, I normally do edit out the weird and awkward pauses. I will refuse to edit anything in this episode. It's going to
Oh.
stay
You
as it
guys
is.
don't know how many awkward moments Matthew Cosby had to edit out.
You know what? It's not my fault. You guys make it awkward on purpose. The half the 70% of the shit I say is funny. Okay. All right.
Oh my god.
It's funny.
Oh.
And
Matthew
you guys
saying it's your fault is like a bully taking a kid's fist and punching it into his head and saying, "Why are you punching yourself?"
You're the ones bullying me.
It's your fault, man. You're punching yourself.
You're the ones bullying me. I say I'm hilarious. Okay. I know I'm hilarious. You guys can't take that away from me.
Dude.
Okay.
It's
No.
been like 5 episodes. You still don't know.
Okay. Let's bring it back.
I say something
I'm
funny, and you
crying.
guys make it fall flat on purpose because you don't laugh.
Let's bring it back. I have something I want to say.
Oh, yeah, I have
Okay,
something I
after
want to say as
Connor.
well.
Connor, go ahead.
Well, I'll go back to the queue. Gonzalo, you can
Oh,
go.
thank you, thanks.
Oh,
At
yeah,
least
we-
someone respects the cue that I'm trying to put in this call.
Oh my god.
No, I wanted to touch back on the beginning of this of our friend group, perhaps. Me and Matthew have been magic. He's been my magic best friend since I'm a magician. Well, I met Alex a year ago with Matthew at a night at the Magic Castle. Connor and Sanjeev are juniors, so we knew of each other. We ended up meeting in those jams because quarantine was in talking about it was a disaster for the world, but talking in personal terms and in terms of my magic. It was the thing that made me a magician today. It was the thing that got me to think about magic, and those nightly jams that we did. And Alex has to remember where it was at 8 o'clock sharp Pacific. I would get on, Alex would be on, everybody would be there, and then around midnight, people would leave, and me and Alex would stay for another 3 hours, building things and attempting.
We didn't even need to say we have jam tonight. Like at 8,
at 8 o'clock
Markov,
sharp.
ding ding. Sorry, Markov, Pavlov. Wow.
Pavlov.
Ding ding. Everybody there.
Everybody
sorry,
was there.
traumatized by Markov chains. Mathematicians will
Yeah,
know.
I know the math came out. Jeez. No, let me just underline what G just said. This entire project was a product of quarantine.
Yes.
And what that means is I've never met Alex in person before.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Ever.
Oh,
I
wow.
haven't. Okay, Alex, I will get there. Calm down, my guy. Calm
I'm
down.
working on it.
I've met Matt a couple times at the castle. Connor, I think once. We all ate burgers together. Was it? Yes. That was
Vegan
one
burgers,
meeting.
Vegan
Vegans.
burgers. They were so expensive.
Okay. Thank you, Connor. Yes. And G. Okay, Gonzalo was like the nicest guy. He assigned himself to be my guide when I got into the program. He was like, "I will
Yeah.
take you everywhere." I was like,
Oh,
"Wow."
fun
Why
fact,
is not
Sanjeev.
everyone this nice?
We were sitting next to each other when we saw your Sanjeev. We were sitting next to each other when we saw your audition.
Yeah.
And you did your audition, and we looked at each other like, yeah, he's getting in. We'll take care of him. We want to be friends with him, right? We want to hang out with this guy.
Dude, but I mean, we didn't really get a chance to capitalize on that, right? Before
No.
quarantine.
We've never
But
hung
now,
out, Sanjeev,
look at
in
what's-
person.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's crazy.
And, I will
and-
say this. Here's why Alex throws shade. Because all the boys were planning a getaway to Lake Arrowhead near LA.
It's not that we were
And I was so
planning.
excited to go.
It's that we
That's
did
that
it.
we
They did it.
planned, and
Yeah, we
Alex said
executed it.
We said it,
I
and
don't
we
think
did
we
it.
should throw shade on Sanjeev because I went, but I was socially distant. I don't know. It's like I get why he couldn't go.
No, it's
No,
not. It's
I
not
was
shady.
hyped.
It's just
It's
a
not
meme.
shade.
right?
It's just fun.
It is.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
I was
just
hyped
giving
because it was, dude, it was my last chance to meet Alex before he moves back to France. And I was like, that is
You're
my
never
gonna
only
meet
chance
Alex.
to meet
That
Alex
means you
in
have to
person.
travel to Europe
Yeah.
and go to all these exotic places.
What a
That's
shame.
so sad.
Okay, Matt. But
Cost
hey,
money.
we still put this together and look at what's
That's
changed
true.
in,
And by the way,
5 months.
the same thing, right? We were like, oh, it'd be so cool to do a getaway together so we could share magic and be more like a permanent thing. Just see like a day and just go all out in magic.
Then we
You're like,
booked an
wait a
Airbnb.
second. Does everyone agree? Yes, yes, yes. Well, then we do it, and we booked an Airbnb like the very next day. And Matthew and I flew all the way to California, and so we got a getaway with all the members of Ungimmicked and still a couple of our very good friends, and it was incredible. And unfortunately, Sanjeev having other plans, let's put it that way, and having other things going on, it was a better idea for him to stay far from us. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet Sanjeev in person, but he is still a very
Yet.
dear friend to me.
Yet.
Here's an interesting thought.
No,
Guys.
it isn't, Matthew. It's Connor's
What?
time.
Well, no,
Let's
my
go to
thing
this
there's a
queue.
queue.
totally off topic,
I
and
put my
it
hand
brings us
thing and you
back
didn't
to
do a
like
cue.
an
I-
episode.
Okay, it brings us back. All right.
So you
Okay.
go. I will wait until after you.
Okay, so we did a jam every day for 4 months for like multiple hours. Imagine how many hours we put in 4 months. That's
Bro,
so
we wrote
ridiculous.
shows. We all
We wrote
had
shows.
shows.
I wrote like
in
5 shows.
quotations. Yeah, I know. We've had segments of different shows. Yeah, I know. Fair.
Yeah, but we put like a good, I think, just talking to each other 120, 130, 40 hours. Talking
Yes.
to each other over the past couple
A lot, yeah.
At
A
least.
lot.
I would say significantly more.
Yeah,
You think?
I
Well,
would
also,
as
not,
well.
Let's
also
add
think,
up.
Doing it working by ourselves, I'm not even including that. That's like
Yeah.
500
No,
hours.
these
Yeah.
are talking to like either the whole group or individually you guys by like calling you or working
Oh,
individually
individually,
with
yeah.
you.
That's a
It's
lot.
like at least 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like if
No,
you
and-
average it out.
Let me throw in a
Yeah, that's a
caveat
lot.
here. At no point, at least for me, at no point did it ever feel like I was forcing myself to put in the hours or to put in
Oh,
the
absolutely
work.
not.
It was all just, I just felt like calling.
You think
one
of
the
something
boys.
like, oh, the boys are gonna love this. This is so smart, and then they'll be like, yeah, that's dumb. And then you try
No,
again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or it's a great idea.
Yeah, I remember that when you guys were doing the jams, I wasn't actually too much of an active member. I mean, I definitely had attended a few, but I never went to a lot of them. And it just one day, Sanjeev texted a chat, not at 8 o'clock at night. It was at like 12 p.m. And he's like, hey, get on Zoom. Let's do this. And I was like, okay, I'll just go on. And like, we're going to talk about whatever Sanjeev has to talk about. And then that one deciding to go on changed my life, because it was that day when we decided to do this podcast, and then exponential personal growth after that. You know what I mean? But it was like, it's just fun to think about that.
By the way, that's how we talk. We don't say, oh, would you like to come on Zoom? It's
no, get on right
Zoom
now.
right now.
Exactly.
And usually everyone spams like at whoever.
We watched Share Magic live together too. We did watch shows together.
Well, yeah, we did. Well, I was there for that too.
Tannins.
But that was after the podcast started.
Tannins.
Tannins. That's right. It was after the podcast.
And just for a little like Easter egg is we're gonna be careful of time here, because right after we're all gonna watch, how's it called, the two-headed
dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all together, so it's a boys thing.
No, we do everything that's magic. We do together, and you were talking about that one fateful day, Connor, where it happened to be the 5 of us. If there were 7 of us, because we have friends that join everything, the podcast would have had more members. Perhaps it just happened on that. I believe it was a Thursday or a Friday. It was one of the two that we got on that call and we're like, let's do a podcast. Sunday, we had that first episode recorded.
Yeah.
It took 2 or 3 days for us to have it ready. I mean, again, the quality was shit.
And then we took a step back, got materials, and then revisited that like a few weeks later.
Yeah, a couple of weeks later. But that's I just let me read the chat. I have messages from Alex saying, "You a bitch."
That's my catchphrase.
That is his catchphrase.
In this episode is chaos. Should this even get out?
Wow.
Yeah, they're a little.
You just called him out.
This episode should get out because I think it's the one time, and it's chaos because we are just. This is how our jams go when we're not actually working on something.
That's true.
So it's good to give people the window to that. We will get back to our discussion, but it's part of my job to be a dick and tell everybody to go follow us on social media.
Now, come on.
No, I do, but this is why I'm going to do it, and why this episode perhaps is the most important of them all. We are ending our first season, so your interaction with us for a little bit maybe is not going to be through your Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Your interaction with us should continue though, because we will continue to put out content. We have a lot of plans for our Instagram, so follow us at Ungimmicked, and also come follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/Ungimmicked. Keep your eyes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts though, because I don't think we'll be too far. Sanjeev, do you want to say something?
This season may be over.
Connor, say your beautiful point.
That's the first time I've cussed. In out of 20 episodes, that's the first time I've cussed. I totally interrupted
Connor,
your flow.
Go. Connor, go.
No,
Connor,
I was
just
gonna
go.
say, I don't even know what else
No,
to
Connor,
say.
we're going to wait until Connor goes now. We will wait.
Yes.
This season didn't end. Connor, go. You broke my flow. That's a haiku.
No, I was just gonna say that there's more coming on. This season may be over, but who knows about other seasons? Who knows? Or other segments. I feel I'm all nervous and awkward now because it's
So good. We all thought you had something afterwards.
We have a breather crimp. Who's doing? Oh, Sanjeev, you were going to say something before the breather crimp.
I'll say it after the breather crimp.
Cool. There's a breather crimp.
It's like an after party after a great party, and you're like after, but you're just so happy, and everyone's just like, yeah, just talking.
Everyone's just throwing out.
Yeah.
This is so good. I love you guys.
This may not be the party.
I don't get it. Is that the
I'm
joke?
just laughing at Alex waving his arm.
Yeah.
I've never seen Alex do that. Yeah.
Matthew's joke either causes us to bomb, to have to edit 3 minutes out of our episode, or are absolutely perfect. And he doesn't hit that often, but when he does, man.
I hit it more often than you allow it for because of your awkward silences.
Matthew, while you keep putting the blame on us, you're never gonna improve.
It's your fault.
All right. Breathe the crim.
That took a
You're
serious
getting
turn.
better in magic and you still suck at comedy.
Because I'm a magician, not a comic.
We have a breather crimp, guys. I don't know who's presenting this. I have the document closed.
It's me.
I'm just
I'm
laughing
doing
at this
breather crimp.
point.
Oh yeah,
You
we have
are.
a document with all the episodes on it, and we have to go like 5 minutes before we're recording. Like, guys, put the episode on the document. I don't know what segments we're doing.
So
Yeah.
this segment is this breather crimp will be presented by Connor McDonald.
Yeah, I'm gonna just I'm gonna recommend something that's not specifically it's obviously magic, but it's not a specific like book or video or person. I'm gonna recommend an activity I think would be a fun exercise to do, and it was actually recommended by Sanjeev, which was recommended by Austin. I think you should take something down in your office or office space or your room or anything like that. Sit it down in front of you and put a timer down for 3 minutes and write down everything that could be magic about that item or is interesting about that item, and just 3 minutes purely write it down. I think that would really allow your brain to think in a creative and magical aspect that maybe you're not used to.
Yeah, I love that. And I will say this. I am too ill-focused to be able to do all 3 minutes with one object. So I usually end up jumping around. But just the fact that you're sitting down and rooting yourself to a space now limits your creativities to the boundaries of said space. And so it still is a massive spike in how creative you're going to be in such a short amount of time.
See, even in an episode where we're just laughing 90% of the time, we can be productive and we can present something of value.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of us.
Now that that's over.
No, that's
Yeah,
over.
here we go.
Back to. Okay, what we will do now. We were talking before this episode. I think. Oh wait, not yet.
No,
Sanjeev has something
no.
to say.
Sanjeev had something to
claim
say.
Uh-oh.
I claim my post-breather crimp spot.
Go, please,
First
please
of all,
go ahead,
okay,
sir.
Two things. First of all, Gonzalo, call me gentleman.
Gentlemen.
Oh my god. Okay,
Music
now I
to
can
my
go.
ears.
Now I can go.
This
is
went
great.
from funny to like eerie. Like
That was a little
It was just for me, Alex. You shouldn't have been eavesdropping, okay? Please.
like listen, I'm
So-
not one for kink shaming, but you know, maybe not in public.
Okay, let me say this. I want to just for a moment take almost a moment of silence for another dead segment from this podcast where we made jokes about why people needed to donate to our Patreon.
Oh wow.
So,
I hated that
this
from
is
the
a
second,
joke.
sorry.
We do have
This
to
is a
give
joke.
homage.
We had for like 15 episodes, dude. We had
It
for
lasted
while.
a while.
For a good
did.
while. We had until
And
Alex
every
forced us to
time-
kill it.
No.
Every
it's
time
continue.
Alex, like, you would see on his face just a look of just repulsion every time we made a joke.
Disappointment.
Yeah, actually,
Because
I think
the thing is,
moment
like,
it went
everything we do
downhill-
on this podcast comes from like a thought process, right? We bring up ideas, we debate them, we come up with an improved version, we put it out, we try it, and then we put it back in the lab. This one sort of came from a joke, and like we just say, "Oh, Matthew needs to buy a second T for his name," and like it was an awful joke. And we decided, hey, how about making this awkward moment just keep going on without looking to improve it? And for
It's a
some
running
reason, it
gag.
just kept going on.
Oh,
No,
I loved it.
Alex, it's a metaphor for bad magic. It was just a metaphor the whole time.
And it involves you.
Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
you guys laughed, but that wasn't funny.
That's true. That wasn't very funny.
It was just
I'll
a
give you
roast, so.
All right,
Gentlemen,
well,
for the second half, for a little bit, I thought it would be interesting for us to play a little clip of our first episode that we ever recorded.
Oh no.
I just want to say, I gave this advice to, I wasn't able to give it to Matthew because just like we weren't able to talk. We talked the other day, but like not enough for me to remember. But I'd given it to the other guys, and I had recommended that you go and listen to our first episode because it was so different from what it is right now. And we're going to play it, and you're going to be able to hear how different it is. But
Yeah, please
really
don't
well.
compare it to this episode. Compare it to the ones before.
yeah, literally the one
I
before
know.
this because that was really good. But
Yeah, there's something else I want to touch on is that, as we said, like people get their opinion of magic very quickly, and if what that entails is that you get also your opinion of magic very young, and when you're really young, you're not going to appreciate a Delgado performance. I'm just going to keep getting back to this example because Sanjeev brought it up.
It is a
perfect
example.
Exactly, it is. When you're a kid, like what do you know about magic? You either know a TV show, a magician's birthday party, Actually, I'm just going to stop there. It's one of those two. And so when you're young and forging that image, you're a lot more likely to be exposed to the, I don't want to call it bad because realistically it's not, it's people trying to make a living and just approach things from a different perspective, but you're more exposed to the less artsy style of magic. So people sort of go, okay, this is what a magician is to me. And so breaking that standard is really hard if they're not around places like the castle and things like that. And obviously when you're a kid, you're also curious. And a lot of, birthday party magicians aren't going to do very artsy stuff. And so you're like, okay, this is about the trick. I'm a kid. I want to know how it's done. Well, pop YouTube, card trick reveal or whatever TV show trick reveal. So I think all comes from this very quick image people make of us.
It's you
I mean,
touched
do you
on
think
some-
the YouTube? Oh, Gonzalo, go ahead.
No, please, because I might take it somewhere else.
I just had a question for Alex. I mean, and Matt, actually. The YouTube exposure that you guys brought up, do you think it does improve the public perception of magic? Because that is a take that exposure raises the bar, because a stance is that we cannot now resort to those, I guess, simpler, just trick things. We have to charm with other things like presentation, which we should have had in the first place anyway.
It gets more people into it, that's for sure. More people doesn't necessarily raise the bar because, you have to, I don't want to compare people to inanimate objects, but you have to like go through a lot before you find a gem, So that'll bring more crazy gems, but that also has just the sheer numbers of people. You have more people who aren't going to be really striving to improve, like those who do become Delgado, Darren Brown, etc.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about YouTube exposure, but you know what? It's inevitable. So your opinion really only matters to yourself, to a certain extent, obviously, unless you have influence on the community. And you know what? It's around there. And in a lecture recently, I heard somebody say, hey, you know what? This has the added benefit. It was a great routine. I don't remember who, I'm so sorry. Said, and you know what? This isn't going to be the sort of thing revealed on YouTube because the intricate methods can come together. So what get revealed on YouTube is things that have like one principle. So if you really try to combat that actively, I think you can avoid the problem.
Yeah, these are some really good points. It really does just depend on what people see first at what age. Like for me, I definitely started on YouTube and I started by seeing a video of Matt Franco. But when you think of everyone's like come up story, right, of how they got into magic, they think of the big names that they saw on TV. They saw like real, genuine, awesome is like a super weird word, but it's good magic, right? For the people that see kids parties and they see this kid magician doing silly tricks, they're not inspired to go learn and go on YouTube and search for the good magic. Does that make sense?
It's kind of funny.
They're not inspired to learn. They're inspired to just know.
That's true.
That is a difference.
Very sort of unrelated point. Matt Franco is the only other person I know who's also Matt with one T.
With one T?
Yeah.
And we're both magicians. Isn't that crazy?
How is that the best point you've brought up for this whole conversation?
That was a little segment from the first ever episode that Ungimmicked released. That's available out there. You can just scroll down on your Spotify or Apple and you can find that episode and you can listen to it all the way through. It was a great episode, I have to say. You can see that our flow is not there. We are very trying to
tense.
Very tense. Yeah, we're trying to be good on what we're saying, but it's hard. And it was hard. Let's just talk about it. Connor, go for it.
If one day you need to mourn a magician, just put episode 1 on.
Oh God, bro, so much was different. I like the tense point. That's a big one. Also, hearing myself talk, I'm sure you all have similar reactions, right? Half the time it's like, oh wow, that's intelligent, go you, and the other half is like, I've definitely said that word for word on multiple episodes. I just said that the last episode. How many times do I say this phrase? Yeah. It's a weird feeling, but I think we're a lot more comfortable with each other. I don't think we wanted to interrupt each other at all. We were really tense about stepping on each other's toes. We apologized a bunch.
Now we don't
Except
care about
Alex.
interrupting
He was the
each other.
opposite of everything.
Yeah.
Now we're all Alex.
Yeah,
it's
as
quite
you
shit.
just cut the cue and spoke in front of Connor, I'm calling you out on it. 'Cause
G
I'm
is
trying
mad
to keep
about
this
this.
cue.
G is really mad
I
about it.
It's like we've
implemented this
completely
cue.
disregarded everything we've built for. It's like, I'm right here so patiently.
Sanjeev, you
This
have
is
Connor
episode
mad.
1B.
See?
I mean, in Connor of all people.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Oh yeah, Gonzalo, what do you have to say?
I don't have to say anything because this is Connor's turn to speak.
Well, I mean, you
Thanks,
know,
Laszlo.
there are a lot of differences. I think we can see a huge difference in our attitude, and our like tone of our voice. That's a huge difference. In that episode, I was listening to it, and we're so tense and just talking super monotone and not really having anything or emotion or being a human being. And now we're like laughing
so
and we
tiny.
can make jokes and we can disagree. Yeah, I feel comfortable. I had another point, but I forgot it. You guys can go.
Sanjeev,
If we're going by the queue, it's Alex's turn.
Oh,
No, we're
it's
just keeping
Alex's
Sanjeev
turn,
because
though.
he had his turn to speak, so he doesn't get it.
Wow, my guy. Wow.
No,
Wow.
I'll say quickly because all I want to say, like from a debating point of view, it's so good to listen to it because my first instinct reaction was, "Wow, we were so naive."
Yeah.
Like if we were to say those same things in episode like 15, 19, we go, definition of this art. In what way do we imply this verb, and how are you using this?
Yeah.
And this is, I'm saying it sounds negative, of course, because of course I'm going to bitch about it. But inherently, something very positive is now the idea of the podcast was about questioning, and we just got deeper and deeper. And now we don't assume meanings of a lot of words that a lot of like we tend to assume in the world of Magic. Now we really try to figure out stuff, and even figuring out the way we're figuring it out. And when we come up with an idea, and we just question every term. Thing is, if the right way of doing it. So we've evolved also in a like process manner, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
We've been
Totally,
thinking
and a
about
quick
thinking.
comment.
Nice.
Yeah, and a quick comment on, I think Sanjeev said it or Gonzalo, one of you two said that we've changed and we're all Alex now. Someone said that because we were like interrupting, or maybe it was Gonzalo. It doesn't matter. Because in one of our first beginning episodes, I would say it's within the first 5, maybe Making Magic More You or something like that. That you are the combination of your top 5 best friends.
That's true. And Alex is our
And-
top 5 best friends.
Hey, I'm just saying, like,
I'm
it's
so
something
sorry.
to think about. It's, I mean, I'm trying to make it a little bit more wholesome, but
Yeah.
right? I mean, is that
it's
not
true.
true?
That's
I mean,
true.
we've
We've
grown
all-
and developed. This is 20 episodes. That's, I don't know, so many months, so many weeks. I can't put an exact number on it, but still.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about it too is it also, I mean, it kind of shows in our material too. All of our ideas are sort of like, Gonzalo and I have this meme that we can almost finish each other's sentences. We are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we say. And we have similar themes in our show because we're talking about being honest. Or Alex has elements in his show from a thing that I mentioned, and then I have stuff that he critiqued me. And then Connor inspired one thing that I told Sanjeev, which inspired him, and it all melds together. And then like you really are the product of the 5 people you talk to the most.
All of us are in this web that we've created for each other. So, and we just live in it. And I think
Which
that
is
in our
Ungimmicked.
magic, more than in our magic,
More
now
so,
as,
yeah, we
as
have friends
friends,
outside of it.
we are parts of each other, and we've learned so much from each other. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. I like the word web because it's not just that we're interacting as a group. I think we've gotten to the point where we have solid relationships with each of us. You know, Connor calls me, not as much as I'd like, but Connor calls me. Gonzalo calls
Hey,
me.
I
Alex
started
calls me, Matt
calling you
calls
one.
me.
yeah,
Yes,
probably call you
yes.
more than you would
Small
like.
Gonzalo calls me more than I would like. Usually at 2 a.m. But hey, you know, we take what we can get. And we had a conversation, Gonzalo and I think yesterday, that really struck me, where right in that first episode, like we mentioned, we recorded, we realized audio wasn't good. And for me, the podcast at that time was purely these conversations are really fun and insightful, and I'm here only for the good conversation. I'm not here to make this a brand, to make this a thing. So invest $70 into a microphone? I don't know. I just didn't know if that was for me. And I sent a long text in our group chat. I'm sure you guys remember it, where I was like, yeah, guys, I don't know if I can make this jump, because to me, this is just about the fun conversation. This is not about pandering to an audience. But then I thought about it for a whole evening, and then I bought that microphone. And a lot's changed for me since then. And I mentioned this to Gonzalo yesterday, that it's insane that there was at one point in time, there was an entire evening where I was thinking about whether I should buy that microphone or not. And then Gonzalo said, if you had not bought that microphone, we might not be friends right now. And and I want to give you context here. He did not mean that in a malicious way in any way. It's just that Gonzalo and I weren't friends. You know, we'd seen each other once or twice in the Magic Castle. He'd been a gracious host. We were acquaintances at best. And then over these 5 months, not just with Gonzalo, with 4 people who I have not seen in person in so long or ever. I think it's insane to me and a testament to us as a group that we've been able to form such strong bonds just by talking, just by seeing each other in this little tiny frame on this software that glitches so often. And that's insane. And we say this all the time, that we can't really imagine alternate realities, but I cannot imagine what my life would be right now, how different my quarantine would be without the boys, without Ungimmicked. And yeah, thank you guys.
Wow.
Thank you for.
I remember when
being
you
here.
wrote that message, Gonzalo and I were on Zoom because we were working late every night.
Always on Zoom.
And,
yeah.
and we were checking Amazon over like the best deals we could find on microphones so it'd be affordable for everyone. We're like, okay, we have different options. Let's make it like a text that explain different options to people. And so like, and everybody's like came, and when you posted your thing, we were like, Gonzalo going, there's no way Sanjeev isn't part of this. Like, we are one way or another, we were gonna manage a way to put him here. I offered to pay for your microphone.
You offered to buy the mic.
Yeah.
You guys have offered to drive me places. Yeah, so it's been a journey.
So
More than drive you places, we
it's
offered to
crazy.
kidnap
Like
you.
everything we did hangs on a thread. It took one decision of going, oh, I don't want tonight, or I have a movie to watch or something, and maybe we wouldn't be closing season 1 of Ungimmicked right now.
That's true.
That's wonderful.
That's so crazy. And like Sanjeev, you said that you know $70 was a big investment, and you know it still is. But standing where we are right now, I would invest hundreds of dollars for
Yeah.
a setup. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm changing my setup constantly. I'm always changing something ever so slightly about what I'm doing or how I'm set up to try to make this the best as possible. But I would be willing to put as much money as I can into this.
And you know what? We've all invested in ourselves. So
Yes,
I think
definitely.
this friendship has really pushed us to invest in ourselves and our magic.
Yeah, and I'm given the difficult task of closing this. I'm saying the difficult task because I'm holding back tears, and I'm not joking. This project always meant a lot to me personally, and in quarantine, well, beginning of quarantine was a very difficult time in my personal life, and I found in these assholes a community and like true friendship, and those guys have helped me through magic and through the other things. So I guess I have an assembly to do. Our assembly today, we talked about it before. It's just to tell all of you listeners to take a break, relax. Quarantine has been intense, and everybody, us included, have been telling you, go and research, go and use this time, practice, read. But it's also important to breathe, and to take a moment, to not even think, to just be with yourself for a little bit. Let yourself relax. That's also important, and we also wanted to advocate for that in this episode. As part of my wall falls,
His reality crumbles at season 1 ends.
my reality is literally crumbling. Gentlemen, thank you for all this time, for all the work that you've put in. Ungimmicked is here to stay, and I'm making
How's it
that
spelled?
promise. Ungimmicked is spelled Ungimmicked.
Or
It's
a
here to
TH from
stay.
time to time.
Ungimmicked.
Ungimmicked.
Or just nothing from
just-
time to time. Yeah.
We were joined today by Alex Moreau, Connor McDonald, Matthew O'Neill, Sanjeev Vinod. My name is Gonzalo Souza. Thank you for listening to Ungimmicked.